This is part 2 of the Storyteller's Lounge interview with Snyder.
We wrote a lot of Halloween poems. Did you write 30 poems in 30 days?
This year I only made it to 28, so I'm a little disappointed with myself. But yeah, that for whatever reason, that 1 month is my prolific period, and then that's it.
October?
October, yeah. But it also helps to have that constant stream of inspiration from somewhere else. Like, it's basically like giving yourself a prompt every day, but the prompt is like watching a movie essentially,
right,
and seeing what comes forth. Because sometimes it's related to the plot, sometimes it's one line that was like, wow, that's really cool, I'm gonna like riff off of that. Sometimes it almost has nothing to do with the movie, but for some reason it made me think of something else that made me think, I don't know, that this movie serves more as like an aesthetic framework, if you will. But every poem is about me, every single one. As far as, at first blush, they would all seem just like this gloomy, kind of dour, one note thing. But there's a lot there's love, there's aspects of being trans in there, there's grief. It's a little bit of everything, like a buffet.
You will find LJ's Halloween poems on his Instagram site under LJ Snyder or Our Lady of Poetics. And now LJ reads from his poem, She Was Born, and we move from Halloween to rebirth.
She was born in front of a dirty bathroom mirror. She was naked, 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 and she was having silly fun. The kind that pairs with too much cocaine. She was covered up in more sweat than she ought to be. A strange glaze from the womb. Her new eyes, beady in the harsh light, saw herself for the first time. Speckled with stray dots of toothpaste, a pedestrian sort of seafoam, the mirror held the birth of Venus inside of it. A singular, inhuman being. And she was turning her genitals into a flower arrangement. The generosity of time was a double-edged sword. Every line snorted, turned the night into strands of spaghetti, wet tendrils. She was trying so hard to tear this body asunder, to make the photograph clearer. She was there. She was there. And she was born. It didn't matter if she missed Christmas, if she never saw her father again, if people stopped believing in the anticipation of giving the benefit of the doubt. Enveloped in teal walls, the basement bathroom mirror held a goddess. She saw all the striations of herself lined up, emanating in every direction. It was beautiful. What a novel sensation to be in awe of her reflection. She thought this moment was a mirage, a drug-induced allowance, but this gift was always there, whether it dripped in sweat or got high in a basement, whether she knew it or not, she was born. Yeah, so that one was funny enough. Actually, a few of those lines were taken from the eulogy that was given for Jim Henson.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, the idea was to take this eulogy and turn it into a rebirth of something, which for me, it's an easy kind of parallel to talk about my transness. And if you're Monday night quarterbacking my career as a poet, it makes a lot more sense that I had such an obsession with the body. Like, it was always coming up in my poems, not necessarily like the transness of it or the, desire for change, or this identity even, but there was always that obsession with the body. But yeah, so here, obviously, like the rebirth is me in my identity, in my chosen lived identity. And yeah, it's funny. I feel like it's such a huge like boon of things to talk about, and yet so little of my work, relatively speaking, like touches on my transness. But yeah, it's a journey.
Well, is it hard to write about directly?
Sometimes, because it's such a precious thing. Like, even if I never wrote another poem tomorrow, starting tomorrow, like no matter what, I would still wake up trans, and the next day and the next day until I'm dead. And
Well, it doesn't have anything to, you're saying that does not have anything to do with your poetry, but it has to do with who you are as a person.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, like there's a preciousness to it, like there's a gravity to it that maybe still, not that I've ever been afraid to breach any subjects, but for once in my lifetime, there's this gravity that I gotta like overcome a little bit.
Well, is it new? Is it fairly new in your life?
I mean, this is the first year of my transition. I started transitioning in January, so I mean, it hasn't even been
It's
a full
new.
year yet.
Therefore, it's serious, and you have to sort of take care of it and figure out who you are, and as this new person.
Yeah.
I think that, it's worthy of a lot of respect.
This is the end of part 2. Our conversation with LJ continues in part 3.